Alright, so we are going camping with our new camper. So we sold our pop-up and we were done camping, and then the wife decided we were not done camping, so we bought this. So I'm going to do a little bit of a review on it. I'll talk about some of the items we've had issues with. So it's been into the dealer twice already for warranty stuff, so if that gives you any indication how well it's going. I'm not surprised. I kind of expected that out of a camper. I guess the new ones are even worse than what the old ones were, just with quality control. So this is kind of the size we wanted. We didn't want anything bigger than this. I'm kind of not sold on the single axle. I wish we had a tandem axle, but that's how this configuration comes. I did end up purchasing a weight distribution setup here, a sway control. I'll show you what the first ones, it was blue ox, but they're just clamp-ons. I'll show you what that did. I'm not really sure if any of this is set right. Actually, this one here looks like it's not even in. Looks like it's popped up. I might have to check that bar. Yeah, that's definitely not into place there. And then I'll show you some of the modifications we've done on it just to get going. This camping trip is going to be without electricity, so we're just going to be using the 2 batteries with the unit. So, like I said, I'll go through some of the good, more of the bad probably, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we made it to our destination, which is Governor Thompson State Park. Get everything pretty much set up here. I'll show you some of the modifications that I've done. So first one I did is they have this box, this generic ammo box here. So I got some angle brackets from the store that were already painted black, and then some U-bolts here to attach to the bumper, and then just drilled through the bottom. Got some spacers in here because there's a lip on this can, so it sits flat and then flat on the edge here. And then I got giant fender washers on the inside. So well, you probably can't see that, but basically what I got in here is our stuff for like the black tank, the gloves, the hose adapter that won't fit in the bumper. Let's see if I can show you. And then that's what I use for a fender washer. So those are all 3/8 inch bolts, and then 3/8 inch washers and lock washers, so shouldn't come off. I did have to move the spare tire over just a little bit, so when I open this up the top stays open, but that really doesn't matter. Then there's some stuff on the inside too. I did get these vented bumper ends. The factory ones just had a hole in there, and there's actually a big wasp nest already built in here, so that should hopefully stop that. And then this came with the camper, but I asked them to put them on, would be the screen for the furnace to keep the insects out. So I think that's pretty much it on the outside of the camper. I'm not done rewiring it. I asked them for 2 batteries because I knew we'd be doing some off-grid camping here, and it does have a solar panel, but the wiring on it is atrocious. And when I added these on, the wiring actually came across the top, and I didn't like that, so I unwired everything and I brought it down through the bottom here, which makes more sense. I mean, for clearance you're going to bottom out on this before the wires anyway. So we'll talk about these briefly a little bit later. So besides some wiring stuff up here, that's basically the only thing I did in the front here on the outside of the camper. Alright, so this is a J-Flight by Jayco STX, and then your 174BH. So it does have the fiberglass on the outside instead of the rib tin or whatever they put on. And it also does have bigger off-road tires. They are Goodyears. It's got more ground clearance. It's supposed to be what they say is off-road. I don't know about that. and the axle is rated for 4,400 pounds, and it is a dextered axle. And the inside, you got a full queen size bed up front, and a bunch of stuff here. That's project bin yet, I'm still working on stuff in here. Then you get some storage above the dinette, I guess. It seats 2, and it converts to a bed, which we'll probably never use. And you come over to this side, you get your main cabinet here for stuff. Come down, you get your sink and countertop, large area on the bottom. One thing to note, there are no drawers. Everything's a cabinet door, so we put these in. So we had some drawers, because otherwise this is just a huge wasted space unless you just stack everything on top. So we bought that unit, I think that was off Amazon. Over here you got controls for your power awning, inside lights, outside awning light, your message board with battery fresh, black and gray tank, water pump, water heater, gas or electric, so that's nice. The gas works pretty good, fires up and gets warm really hot. Microwave, you get your range hood here. That's all 12 volts, you don't need any shore power for that. Gas 2 burner, which is more than enough. I'm not sure why they would put a 3 burner in most of these. I know, I think our pop-up had a 3 burner. We would never use 3 burners. This is going to be your furnace. Underneath here is just like an open dead area. I'm not sure why they didn't utilize that space. There is a decent amount of space there. This is just more storage. We added this little thing on the side, but even this down in here, so you got some plumbing and stuff back there, the wheel well, but then back that way, that's where the shower is. There's some shower tub space that way as well. Okay, over this way, you got a bottom bunk, top bunk. I think they're rated for 250 pounds each, so 250, 250. Window on the bottom for ventilation, window on the top just for light, and then you have, well, I guess there isn't one on the top. The bottom has an outlet, no USB. That's one thing that would be nice. And then I think, yeah, each unit has a light as well, or each bunk. Bathroom. You get a tub with a shower unit. I did try it out. It works pretty good for the most part. Fills up the gray tank pretty quick. Skylight, and then you got a vent without any fan. Fan would be nice. Not too much in the way of hanging towels and stuff, so we're working on that. Just put up these generic 3M deals for now. Your normal RV toilet. Does have a paper toilet paper roll holder, did come with that. Door does lock. 12 volt compressor fridge, which is really nice. We've run this I don't know, a couple days just on the solar panel and batteries, and don't have to worry about basically anything. I mean, it's solar panel keeps up with it quite well, and it's nice and large. And it's not on the floor. It's at a nice height so you can see right into it. It's actually nicer than the one in our house at home because you got to bend over there. Furnace, haven't used that yet. I'm assuming that should be fine. Radio, garbage. Only gets really one station that like puts out 100,000 watts. Other than that, really can't get anything with the radio, even with the booster. Storage above here. I don't even have much in there. Light by the dinette. There is pull down blinds. I don't think we've used those at all. No storage under here. That's all your electrical connectors. There is storage underneath here. The full-size queen, there is storage underneath that as well for different things, and there's outdoor storage as well. So that's nice. And then one other thing I guess to point out, we did add the paper towel holder here. Really no good place to put that. And then this is for the TV. There's an antenna, and then there's a screen light as the booster, which also works the radio. We're gonna see how it works. We'll hook up some, we got an inverter to run the TV, and we'll see if we get any stations. The last time we went camping, couldn't get any stations to hold. Just couldn't pull it in. So not sure if it was the distance or if it was the antenna. So we'll do a test. Air conditioner is very cold, very noisy, and it's always on. So the fan will constantly run. Even the compressor will kick on and off. The fan stays on. So it's kind of noisy if you are trying to sleep. So the next thing I'll go through is some of the modifications I've done inside. Alright, so one of the things I did, because there's no place to charge a phone, I added this net holder here. That's TV controller, and then I bought a really long charging cable, and I ran that above the window here, and then it's actually behind this curtain, and ran it down to, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Alright, so what I did was, there's an outlet here, and back there I grabbed a power strip and a charger. So if we want to run another charger right next to the bed, we got a another net here for the wife's phone. You can do that. So those things are definitely handy. I got 2 more of those that I'm thinking we will probably stick in here for the kids for their stuff as well. Just got to figure out where they want them. I just use some real small little screws through this very thin paneling. So we'll see how that works out. And she's right now, because we're off grid, charging it I guess from the radio. I don't know how that works, but that's how she said it worked the last time, so that's what she's doing. So we'll see. Last time we were on shore power, so we could basically run whatever we wanted. It didn't matter. So, and we basically used everything. So I'm gonna get the TV set up here. I'll get it plugged in. I got an inverter along for the 12 volt up here, and we'll see what we can tune in. Alright, so I got the TV hooked up. I got a 140 watt inverter here plugged into the 12 volt. Got our coax, and once I turn the booster on the antenna, then we get decent amount of stations. I think there were 16 that I found, so we're not too far from Green Bay. So yeah, we're getting all the Green Bay stations the way it looks here, so that's good. Looks like everything's coming in, so it should be, well, it looks like we're not getting channel 11. So 2, 5, 14, and 38, which is kind of, that's, I guess that's out of Green Bay. Oh, maybe we're not getting it. No, no signal. 14, oh, that's not bad. So we're not getting 26, 32, any of the other ones, but channel 2 is good because it's got the weather station, so you can kind of see what's going on. So that's nice. Alright, so this is our site. I'm actually standing on top of one of these giant rocks here. And then just off, probably can't see it, but the other side of those trees is the shower house. So we're just getting ready to make some supper over the fire. So we'll get to it. Alright, so let's talk about things that are not so good. So first of all, the windows. These sliding windows, for some reason, on the inside we will get some water in like the track. So I'm probably going to take that back in and have them look at that, because that's not right. I waxed this whole thing, and the first time I did that, this bottom panel here, all the way out to the wheel, when I looked in the mirror of my truck, it looked like this whole panel was bowed out. And then when I tried waxing it, it was just like flapping in the wind, and I'm like, oh, that's not right. So I took it in, and actually if you looked underneath, you could see like all the insulation. This whole piece was just wide open, and it looked like all the brad nails that they had put in had missed. So when I brought that to their attention, they were almost to a point of it may have to go back to the factory, which is funny because you think they would have looked it over as a dealer to make sure that that wasn't an issue, but they did. They must have glued it and then re-nailed it. right there at the dealership, so hopefully that's good. The issue with the radio, so the radio gets really poor reception. Our radio would freeze up, and I told the guy, and they ended up pulling a radio out of a different camper they had on the lot and just exchanged it. The other thing we haven't really talked about or looked at, there's a solar charger right up in here, and then there's a, they said it's a 200 watt panel on the roof is what they told me, but when I looked at the panel when I was washing the roof, it says 100 watt, so I think they lied to me. Anyway, as we picked the thing up, the solar charge panel solar charger charge controller would just flash. That's all it would do. It was flashing on and off, throwing all these weird numbers, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So I brought that to their attention. They're like, yeah, that's definitely bad. That needs to get replaced. And I'm like, this is a brand new unit. What do you mean it's got to get replaced? And then the one they replaced it with, we'll take a look at it. It's actually different than the unit we had. They're like, oh, because it was an older, they upgraded their charge controller unit, so now you got the new style. I'm like, okay. So that's what it does. So 19.3 volts. The batteries are at 79 degrees. And 12.4 volts, 0.3 amps. I don't know what that means. To be honest with you, I don't know what any of this means. I don't have an owner's manual, so I know that this here, not this, the next, this here is usually when it's charging, that'll go way high. It'll go to like 26 volts or something. So obviously when the sun is out, it's going to be higher. But like I said, this whole unit got replaced. The radio unit got replaced. We had body issues, like I said, coming out. The water in the window, like the water will pool up here. Not sure that it should be doing that. The back window also does not open well. It binds up. Also, the door wasn't closing. That I just took a rubber hammer to and kind of pounded the aluminum frame out because it was rubbing something terrible. I don't know if you can see where it was rubbing down here. It just kept rubbing, so I just took a hammer and basically beat this trim into shape. And that was something that just started, so I don't know if that was the hinges wearing in or what the deal was with that. So I will tell you, for campers in general or RVs, they're very extremely cheap with their materials. The materials typically are not the best. They're very cheap. And they used to be, I think, somewhat put together nicer, the quality of the actual workmanship, but now that's all gone out the window. There's no quality control at all. Like, there's no, like I said, the whole bottom of that panel was missed. Nobody at the dealership caught that. Nobody at the factory. There's no factory, like, checklist of things they should check. So that's why when that happened, I'm like, we need to start running everything. Let's use the water heater. Let's use the shower. Let's make sure everything works, because you got 2 years of warranty on this thing. So I'm going to make sure we get everything addressed right away, because it's just going to be one thing after another otherwise. From what I heard, the 12 volt compressor fridges are supposed to be pretty good. I believe this is a pretty good brand as well. So, and they're supposed to be much nicer than like the 3-way gas 12 volt electric. That thing gets super cold very quick, which is nice. Guy said basically you can leave it on as much as you want, just like a normal refrigerator. So you do hear it run though. You do hear the like compressor kick in, whereas the gas one we had in the pop-up, didn't hear that at all. So other than that, on the inside, I don't know that there's anything else. We've used the awning, we've had that out, double check that. Older units would have like a wall mounted air conditioner. Now they went to these, which is a 12.5. I know they tell us you have to have the 30 amp plugged in order to do that. I've run this air conditioner on my little 2000 watt Honda, and I've run it on 110 like 20 amp outlet, and it's only pulling like 12 amps or something like that, I think is all. I put in a watt meter just to see, and it wasn't pulling anywhere near what they were saying. Now if you had this running and the electric water heater, yeah, then I bet you're gonna get really close to that 30 amps by far. But this in itself, you could run that by with a small generator without any issues. All right, so let's talk about the towing of this. So I'm towing it with a half-ton truck. You know, they call this towable by most small vehicles or whatever. But if you look at some of the information over here, so the weight cargo should not exceed 583 pounds. So that's not a lot of gear, believe it or not. Obviously, if you fill up your water tanks, you're going to have almost no capacity, because the water tank, I believe, is a 30-gallon freshwater on this one. So, you know, 583 pounds doesn't get you much. The axle's a 4400. So, tongue weight, if it's 10%, you should hopefully be around 400 pounds. Well, I was towing this just with a straight ball, not with this weight distribution. Straight ball with the ball flipped up, and it seemed fine. Around 50-55 miles an hour, it didn't seem too bad. Then we put some more stuff in it, started loading it up. Well, then it started to sway. Like 55, I was bringing home in wind, and the thing was just swaying something terrible. I could barely control this. So this blue ox is supposed to be a good setup, and what I got was, it was used. The guy had it for $100. So these are light spring arms or whatever they're, I forget what the weight is on them, but it's like the least amount. It's not much. And it was just basically just this, and on the opposite side you'd kind of sit on it, and it was like a bolt that ran into the back side of this frame to hold it, and you torqued it to 30 foot-pounds. And we used that, and I had this set at, I think, 8 chain links is what it said. We towed it, and I'm like, it didn't help at all. It still swayed just as bad. I couldn't get it over 55 without the thing just completely going nuts. So then on the way back, I brought it up more, and I brought it up to 9 chain links on that setup. I was towing 70 miles an hour, no problems at all. Well, the problem I did find is that that pinched actually dented the frame on both sides here. You can kind of see where it was over there. It dented the frame, and that was only 30 foot-pounds. I checked it with the torque wrench, because that's what the instructions say. And because this is so thin, it actually just dented it. So now it's probably weak there. So I went and spent a gob of money on these. I forget what these are, but so these have bolts on the top, and they kind of clamp. There's just a bar on the back side. So you got a bolt on the top and the bottom, and these clamp on. So I feel better about that. I did the 9 links. And towing 70 miles an hour, we had some sway today. I don't know if it was because of wind, but I didn't feel real comfortable with that. So I've never had issue with trailer sway. I always had enough weight on the tongue of any of the trailers I've pulled, whether it was the pop-up, the utility trailer, the boat. But for whatever reason, and you can't tell me that there's not enough weight up in front here. I know this axle is set back quite a ways on this unit, but there's really not too much weight up here. There's a lot of weight up in front here. We got the, you know, the bottom loaded with stuff. You get the bed and stuff in front. Then you got 2 batteries, the propane tank, and all this other stuff that hangs off the front. You would think there's got to be a significant amount of weight, but I'm not sure. This is pulling a large travel trailer like this. That's new to me, so I don't know what the story on that is. So I guess we'll just have to keep experimenting, but 9 links seem like quite a bit, so I'm gonna leave it and see if we can get it to work. I know the used setup I bought from the guy, I told him what I had, and he said, yeah, just to let you know, he's like, you're still gonna have sway with that single axle. And he's like, well, when you upgrade, you'll have this then. And I said, oh, I don't know if we're gonna upgrade. And he's like, well, that's how we started. He's like, we had a single axle trailer, and now we have a tandem, and he upgraded his whole setup for towing. So he's like, just to let you know, we had a single axle, and he's like, we had a lot of issues with sway, couldn't go more than 55 miles an hour. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. And I know the brother-in-law said the same thing. Single axle trailers like this have a lot of sway. This is how we typically do breakfast. We use the camp stove. with the griddle or cast iron pan. It's just nicer cooking outside. So no issues with this stove. I just pump it up, I think about 50 times. Make sure it's full, and you can cook breakfast all day long on this thing. We are wrapping up our camping trip here. Had an absolute awesome weather. Sunny, not too hot. Didn't have to have the air on. It was nice and cool at night. So perfect weather for that. So that's nice. The one issue we did have is we ended up running out of battery. So what I did was buy a jump pack, and I just left the truck trailer cord plugged into the camper so that the refrigerator would stay running, because it got down to like 12, and when it was running it was down to like 11.4, so I knew that the battery was on the low end. So even with the solar panel, which I don't know that it got much sun, because it's pretty heavily covered in trees, so maybe that's what the issue was. But I plugged the truck in, we left it plugged in all night. In the morning the truck just barely started, just had enough left to get it started. So we'll have to figure something out with that if we do any more non-electric camping. 2 batteries and a solar panel is obviously not enough just to run the refrigerator, which is all we had on basically. So, but other than that, that's going to be it for now.